Hello, students. We are continuing the series of globalization. So, in the last video, I've talked about the introduction of globalization. All right, I've introduced the topic with you people, and today I am going to talk about causes. What are the different causes that led to globalization? So, normally, if we talk about globalization, it's all about flows. Flow. Flow meaning movement, or you can say a process of what? Ideas, process of capital, movement of commodities and people is globalization. Okay, and if we talk about globalization in terms of these four flows, it was there in the human history as well, meaning globalization, people used to travel, people used to carry commodities with them, even money used to be transported from one place to another. But what is the difference between the globalization that existed earlier and the globalization that we see today? The only difference is of pace, or you can say the speed, or the scale in which the globalization existed earlier and the globalization or the contemporary globalization differs. All right, globalization has a historical basis, okay, as I've told you in the previous video. So what differs is the flow. Now, while globalization is not caused by a single factor, okay, the factors which are responsible for the globalization is not only a single sole factor. Okay, there are a number of factors that has led to globalization. So first we are going to talk about first important factor is technology. Okay, there is no doubt that there was invention of telegraph, telephone, microchip. All these has been revolutionized the communication system of the contemporary era. Okay, earlier there was no telegraph, there was no telephone. All right, still globalization existed, but now what has increased or what has led to the number of activities that has been increased in the name of globalization? One of the factor is our technology and technological advancements. Examples is telegraph, telephone, microchip. These are the examples. Okay, because now people are more able to communicate better with the technological advancement. Okay, an example in your book has been given that when printing has been initially came up, what happened? We have uh, set up the feeling of nationalism. Okay, and when the feelings of nationalism came up, we fought for independence. So technology has a huge role to play in our life. Okay, and one of the factor or one of the causes of globalization is technology. Okay, and the ability of ideas, capital, commodities and people to move more easily from one part of another has been made by the technology. Okay, because nowadays we use aeroplane. It is one of the most easiest mode of transportation, because we can travel to any part of the globe, any part of the world with by this aeroplane quickly. It is one of the quickest mode of transportation. All right, there are other mode of transportation as well. Okay, we can use the other alternatives like the land transport or the water transport. So we have all the facilities given. All right, so we can use those and we can excel our globalization. All right, the pace of these flows has been varied. All right, earlier globalization was there, okay, but this air mode of transportation was not available to everyone. Okay, it was not available to everyone and it was very costly. But nowadays if you see the fares, people they normally can afford. Some of the people they can afford, and we can quickly move to other areas and we can also transport materials from the other part of the globe. All right, and also it has been quicker. Okay, now globalization did not emerge because of the availability of the improved communications. All right, there are other factors as well. So what is important is for people in different parts of the world is to recognize the interconnections with the rest of the world. Okay, currently we are aware of the fact that events taking in the places, okay, like we have read about this Russia Ukraine war and how it has impacted majority of the countries of the globe. Even India has been impacted due to this war. Okay, the prices of oil has been increased. Okay, because of this war we are facing certain problems. Not only India's, majority of the country has been impacted because of a single war that did not took place in our territory, but it has impacted. So because because of the interdependence, we are depending on others for certain basic necessities. All right, because of this interdependence, it has led to the increase of globalization. Okay, and even this coronavirus, this has impacted all the countries of the globe. Okay, and communicate. So these are the factors: technology, technological advancement, and the communication facilities that has been increased, and the interdependence among each other. So these are the factors of globalization. Now in this chapter you have to read about certain consequences. All right, certain consequences are there. So here in this chapter you have to read about political consequences, economic consequences, and cultural consequences. So these are the consequences that you have to read, and all these consequences you have to read negative as well as the positive consequences. All right, so first we'll start the positive consequences. So one of the debate that has been generated as a consequences of contemporary process of globalization relates to its political impact. Okay, how politically it has impacted uh, the people. Okay, because the globalization affects the traditional conceptions. Okay, because for several years we have lived by the traditional notions. Okay, the traditional or the original notions that we have set up for us. Okay, because ideas we get, whatever ideas we had, we were living only by those ideas. But we have to consider the fact that we are also being you know we adopt certain ideas from different parts of the world. So the traditional conception of state sovereignty has been challenged. If we talk about the negative consequences, it has been that the traditional notion, okay, the ideas of or the state having the sovereignty or the rights over the people is being challenged. Okay, why? Because they are getting inspiration or they are getting influenced by the ideas from other countries. Okay, so one of the negative consequences is that the state's capacity has been eroded. State's capacity to take decisions or the state's ability to do whatever they can do, it has been eroded. Okay, and the welfare state, as you remember, if you remember, I've talked about the capitalist idea, I've talked about the communist idea, and I've told you what happens in capitalism and what happens in communism. So what happens in capitalism, that government is not interfering in the policies of the private institutions, or government is just letting everyone free in capitalism. But what happens in communism, communism talks about equality. Yes, so all over the world the welfare schemes or the welfare state, the state which looks after the people, okay, now it has been going to a more minimalist state, meaning earlier state focused on being a welfare, meaning looking after the welfare or the needs of the people. Now government is just reducing its role from the life of the people. Okay, they are not giving them the schemes, they are not giving the facilities, they are just letting everyone free to do on their own, free to earn their economy on their own. All right, Now government is being a more capitalist ideology. Okay, so this is one of the negative feature of or negative consequences of this globalization. Okay, now um, even the this minimalist state approach has been introduced. Now the core functions, that is the maintenance of law and order and the security of its own citizens, has been reduced. Now it withdraws from many of its earlier welfare functions, as I've told you, and in place of welfare state, it is the market that has become the prime determinant of economic and social priorities. Now the state is like the government is just, they are just withdrawing from the welfare schemes, and they're just letting the market or the private institutions to have the economy. Okay, and here we can see the role of the multinational companies that is just leading the world economy right now. Okay, and this is all about the negative consequences. Now just move on to the positive consequences of globalization. At the same time, some people argue that globalization has not just reduced the state capacity. All right. See, every topic has its own positive views and also the negative views. So we have talked about the negative views. There are certain people who claims that globalization, because of globalization, the government has, you know just focused on economy. They are just focusing on economy. They are not building, they are not looking after the welfare policies. So this is one viewpoint, and this has been put under the category of negative consequences. Now what can be positive consequences of globalization? Now they are arguing that globalization has not reduced the state's capacity. Okay, and whatever the old jealousies and the rivalries was there, it was all because of that the world politics it has been leading. All right, now state continues to discharge its own essential functions, and they are not withdrawing from any policies. This is the counter argument. Okay, whatever the arguments has been made negatively, now who thinks that globalization is good, they are making an argument that the state has been not forgotten their responsibilities. They are still looking after the welfare policies, and they are maintaining the law and order in the country. Okay, and now politically, you have to see that with enhanced technology and communication, the state is being able to rule better. Okay, because of the technology, like uh, see, government's role is to look after the welfare. Okay, and to look after the law and order. Now with the enhanced technology, the government is able to monitor or to look after the people better. Now, positively, they are saying thus the state became more powerful than before as a result of globalization, because of the technological advancement and the betterment of the communication facilities. Okay, so this is about the political consequences, and in the next video, I'm gonna talk about economic consequences and cultural consequences. Okay, thank you.